Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining the National Center for Educational Development in the Blended Learning Forum, Future Visions and Insights. Our presenter, Mrs. Anita Abraham, will accompany you in this training session entitled Experiential Learning via Virtual Reality, Augmented Reality. Anita Abraham works as a professional development specialist of science at the National Center for Educational Development at Qatar University. She has been in the field for education for 25 years, out of which 18 years were in the education system of Qatar. Her work involves providing in-service professional development in content and pedagogy to the science teachers of public schools of Qatar. She has also worked with the Ministry of Education as a master trainer to train teachers on science curriculum for 6 years. Our session will begin in a few seconds and will last for about 45 minutes. Please note that we will be receiving your written questions via the chat room at any time during the session, but all questions will be answered by the end of the session. The session will be recorded and it will be coming soon on the NCID YouTube channel. And now I leave you with our presenter, Mrs. Anita, wishing you a useful training session. Anita?
The pandemic has created a havoc in our lives. All the spheres of our lives were affected. And also along with it, education was one of them. But we as educators and teachers have overcome that in a way that we can say we have not stopped getting in contact or touch and provide the needed education to our children, our learners. And that was possible only because of the digital platforms that were available for us. Today, we are going to see how these can be more effectively used in our classrooms and beyond our classrooms. And that is why we are going to have this workshop named Blended Experiential Learning via Augmented and Virtual Realities. As Hanabi has already explained about myself, but I would like to go further than that, that this has been 18 years or more than 18 years in Qatar. And I find myself fortunate to have been in this country, which has abundance of resources and has always gone ahead to provide the educators and also the learners with the latest technologies that can be incorporated into the teaching and learning. And I really congratulate the government, the Amir, for that. Let's begin our presentation for the day with the objectives. By the end of the workshop, we would like you, or both of us, to illuminate the relation between the blended learning, augmented learning, and virtual realities, and also with the experiential learning. Explain the benefits of using blended learning and experiential learning through AR and VR. Excuse me, I'm using the short form because they're too long words to be repeated every now and then. We will be discovering the available digital platform and application that can help using augmented reality and virtual reality to enhance the learning of the abstract concept to our children. This is the pedagogical shift. It seems the future of the education is here, and it takes in the form of blended learning. Yes, a traditional with the e-learning is what the blended learning comes to be. Nowadays, on the Facebook or any of the social medias, we can see many online platforms calling for webinar, calling for online classes. Those are what makes up the MOOC, that is a massive open online courses. When it is blended with virtual reality and augmented reality, the students' learning curve is bound to increase in many folds. As visible in the picture, computer which interacts with human has come a long way from the mainframe to the compact personal computers. Now the computers have totally become a person. He can just listen to your voice, interpret and understand it, and then act accordingly. Don't you think it's amazing when machines can listen and speak? That is what we are going to use in our educational front also. How can we use this technology for our benefits to our gains? That is what we are going to see further. The keywords that we are going to use for this workshop, throughout the workshop, will be three: the blended learning, experiential learning, augmented reality, and virtual reality. What is blended learning? It's a concept that combines the advantages of the e-learning and the traditional classroom face-to-face interaction. Blended learning can also form education innovation concerned with blending various forms of student, teacher, digital methods to reach the goal. And what is the goal? The learning of the student. By alternating various teaching methods and variably using multiple sensors, we can have a better experience for our students. Here, when we look at the blended learning, it has face-to-face training, virtual classes, webinars, links, stimulation, assessment, and one-to-one coaching. So this is what the blended learning is. We're moving on to the next one. Experiential learning. This model was first given by David Kolb in 1984. And it has two layers. We'll be doing the two layers one by one. First is the learning cycle, and second is the learning preferences or learning styles, we can call them. The first, the learning cycle, has 4 stages, and we will be dealing with them. You cannot hear me? Someone had put, I could see a message saying no voice. Is it clear? May I go on? Suja?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Can I go on? Is it clear, the voice?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
All right. We were talking about the experiential learning model. It was given by David Kolb in 1984. And it has 2 layers, and we'll be dealing with the 2 layers in a while. So it's a process of learning by doing. Learning by doing, that it can be in a work area, it can be in the school, it can be anywhere that you are doing and learning. It consists of the 4 ones: concrete experience, reflective observation, abstract conceptualization, and active experimentation. These are the 4 stages, and you can begin at any stage. Let's see what they are. Concrete experience means that you are really doing something, and while you're doing a work or performing an experiment or anything that you're doing, you always have a feeling of satisfaction sometimes, distraction, frustration. It can be a feeling that can help you to learn more. So that's what makes the concrete experience and stays on. Second is the reflective observation. When we say reflective observation, what we mean is, from what you have observed or what we have done, you come to know what was working, what is not working, what can be avoided, what should be added. So it gives a perspective of learning that we learn through observation of our act or the observation of others. Third is the abstract conceptualization. What do we mean by that? Is once we have had the reflection, we form a vision in our mind, how a problem has to be solved, how a particular thing has to be conceived. A vision is formed in our mind, and that stays in our, and we act on that vision. That is the meaning of abstract conceptualization, and it helps us to fulfill our vision in that way. Next is the active experimentation. During this stage, what happens is, what you have visioned, you make it practically possible. You experiment with those things. And again, as I said, it's a cycle, so it can go on and on until you have perfected yourself. The second layer that we are talking about is the learning styles. When we talk about learning style, the first one is the diverging style. The diverging style, we can see it is here. If you can see the pointer. Yeah, this is the diverging style that we are talking about. And people who have the diverging style, they are very, very creative and people-oriented. They like to watch, learn from people, and they move on by that particular aspect of learning. The second one, when we see, is the assimilating. When we talk about assimilating, that means, again, they are preferring to think and watch. When we are thinking what is wrong, what is right, how to do about or go about a particular thing, they are thinking and they are assimilating the knowledge. That is how they learn. The next is the converging style. When we talk about the converging, those people are preferably, they think as well as they do the activity. They prefer technical work and they use thinking and learning to solve their problems. And the last one is the accommodating one. Here, the accommodation, when we look at this, they feel and they do. They feel of the urges there after they've learned and they do it. So these are the 4 layers that we talked about in the experiential learning model. The second one is another model that was given by McCall, Lamoureux, and Ashinger. Here what it talks about is 70, 20, and 10. 70% of the learning happens when you do things. That is what they mean. You are involving in something by your physical means, you gain or you learn 70% of it. 20% of it comes when you are collaborating with others. And it can be a team activity, it can be a group collaboration, anything, you learn 20% of it. And the rest, 10%, was only through the formal education. So these 3 models the blending technology and also the experiential learning models, have been used by the technology people to bring the augmented and virtual realities into the blended. So we can expect in the future also more technologies will be soon ingrained in the entire structure of learning. So we're talking about the augmented reality and virtual reality. The 2 things are similar, at the same time they are different. The similarity is the digital interface that they use. And the difference is in augmented reality, the real world remains there, but the digital picture is overlaying over it. Whereas in the virtual reality, what happens is it's a total immersive 3D experience that the individual who is inside it will be feeling. Going further, the virtual reality is completely digital environment, fully enclosed synthetic experience with no sense of real world. And augmented reality, the real world with digital information overlay is there. And as I said, the central to the experience of the real world is the virtual detail. It can be 3D animation that comes into being. We'll have a polling done quickly about the 2 things that we have talked about. You will take 2 minutes to answer them, and we'll move forward from there. Answer these questions. The third question, you can have multiple answers. I hope you are doing the polling. 1 more minute is left, then we'll continue with our PowerPoint. I think the polling must be over by now. I'm starting with the presentation. It's okay? I hope so. When we talk about one more theory that is behind the use of AR and VR is the multimedia learning theory. What it does is, it uses our natural abilities to process the information. That's what information we process through our eyes, through our mind, through our ears. These are used in this multimedia channels, and they use it for our betterment. So it's a multiple channel which uses audio. There's a difference from there. We are learning about we are talking about the multimedia learning theory. It's It uses the multiple skills, it maximizes the focus, and it integrates. It integrates the narrative and graphics, which stimulates the learning. The result of this multimedia theory, along with the AR and VR, is that it is a blended learning which helps the individual learner to absorb the maximum amount from those experiences and create their own learning. Now, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Come on, Karin. Host voices there. We are talking about the multimedia theory. We talked about that it's a blended effort where the child or the learner absorbs everything, the experience that they learn, and they can create a learning of their own. And that is the advantage or beauty of the AR and VR. The benefits of AR and VR, we'll talk about the augmented learning first, is that it's a 3D visualization. When you talk about a 3D visualization, what it does is it stimulates thinking, it develops the motor skills and the facial expressions of the child when they are talking about it, when they are doing it, they are happy, they are satisfied, they are excited. So it develops the motor skill as well as the facial expressions. It increases the understanding because now they can say it in a better way and visualize it in a better way. So it increases the understanding and develops the attention. Usually when we see the attention span, when we talk, right now, even if I'm talking, the span is not more than 10 minutes or 15 minutes maximum. But with this, they can go on, the attention span develops, it can increase. That last but not the least can be many more. It increases the comprehension and the, memorization in students. And all of this, in turn, it injects life into classes, provides information in a medium that suits the student best. It makes classes more captivating and intuitive. It awakens interest in the difficult subjects and helps them to understand it better. Now, why should teachers? What is the advantage of using these is that in this generation of students, they already are exposed to such platforms through the games. If you talk, I'm not aware of many games, but if you talk to the children, they are always with the hand, they have the gadgets in their hand. They are playing some sort of game, which are the experiences of VR and AR. So when it is the learning is given to them in that platform, the learning becomes fun, and there's no extra tool that is required. They already have it with them. And also, the operation of it is better. It is better that they can, you don't have to teach them because they will be the one who will be telling you, no, teacher, this is the way it goes, We know that when we do it in our home, it's our children who teach us the technology better than we teaching them. So this is the advantage that students are already aware of such platforms, and you can take benefit of that learning that is already with them. Now, what are the elements of the augmented reality and virtual reality? It is the experiential learning, which comes in this form with the help of the software and the hardware. When we talk of the software, it is the application that we are talking about. It is the interface that we are talking about. But in case of the hardware, it is the, for example, the displays, that the head-mounted displays that they have, different kinds that can be used for different purpose. Then they have the handheld pads, like iPads they have mobile phones. These are the handheld. They can also be, displayed into a bigger screen in the class. So those are the hardware that they have with them. Softwares of AR are such. When you can look at that, many are available right there, right? When we look at that, so many elements. Many of you must have used them here. And maybe there's a poll here also that we will see how many of you have used it. So here we have the element D, 4D, AR Anatomy, Queer, Alive Studio, Space D. These are different apps, and they have for different age groups, you can say. There are few that are only for the kids. There are few for self-education. There are few for the special education. For example, if the doctors and nurses, they can use their app, like the anatomy app when they're performing something. The Live Studio is the app that is for the children. Arloon is another app which is very famous. Arloon, again, these all have the basic, how do they operate is in this way. Where is it gone? I think, yeah. How do they operate? They are all the apps that you can have them on your mobile. Okay. Some of them, they have the markers. Now, what are markers? Markers are the print cards that they have. You can print them. You can color them. You can scan them because the app's on your mobile. You can scan them, and then they can be played, animated in the 3D, and you can see them. Right now, I'll be sharing 2 videos with you so that you can have a proper understanding of how it is going. When I'm saying, it may not be very clear to you. So let me share that with you, the video. I think you saw that. Let me share one more with you, then we can talk about it.
My 2 adopted sons from Russia were really struggling to learn how to read, and we needed a breakthrough. So when I saw augmented reality, I knew that was it. That's a technology we need to create Letters Alive, an engaging, mind-boggling new way to learn.
Cat. Thing. At. That. Swim. Jump. Eat. The frog can eat. Fly.
Augmented reality, Letters Alive, and Alive Studios really has increased the engagement and excitement that my class and my students have for ABC Boot Camp.
5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.